The next article is from Startups magazine. It's called The Clarity Crisis, Why Your Culture Problem is Actually a Communication Problem. So the article argues that what leaders diagnose as a culture problem is often at its root a communication problem, specifically around clarity. So in the rush to scale, many organizations operate on the assumption that people inherently know their role, they know the rules, they know the direction of travel, but they don't. And teams are frequently drowning in ambiguity. And this isn't a sign of poor work ethic or disengagement. It's a symptom of leadership complacency around fundamental communication. The piece is particularly pointed about flat hierarchies. So it talks about agile structures are great for speed, but they often create a vacuum where clear operating principles should be. And interestingly, it extends this critique to AI adoption, arguing that leaders are asking AI to solve problems that they haven't even clearly defined for their human teams. I could talk about that all day. So the fix, they're saying, is really to invest in clarity around roles, boundaries, decision-making, progression. When people understand what they own, who they need to consult, who approves what, you really do unlock that genuine empowerment for people. Empowerment is different to engagement, but I'll leave that there. They talk about practical tools like a RACI or RACI framework to help. But the core message is really that culture doesn't fix itself with a values workshop or something like that. It has to fix itself when leaders communicate with precision and consistency. Now, this isn't new, but I suppose my question for you, Chuck, is how do we help leaders and managers really understand this? Because this is the same stuff, just, focused in the startup environment. So how do we really help make this shift?
Yeah, I think this gap in those experiences is that it's not that leaders don't experience this or know this. They just don't experience the same things that normal employees do. And so they don't feel the downstream consequences of their decisions, whether they're clear or not. They just get the data and the reports and then hold others accountable for that. So I think it's those downstream consequences that creates that clarity. And then they're actually shielded from that because they're not the ones doing the work. That work they've sort of delegated off their walls, and that person's now responsible. They're sort of absolved of it. So I don't think that RACI charts or anything like that fixes any of it. It comes down to accountability. And that's a bit of a personal thing for individuals. We've all worked with leaders who are not just held accountable, but own that. They admit when mistakes happen. They celebrate those who have stepped in and fixed things. So I think that accountability comes into play, but they're shielded from it.
I also wonder whether we are at that tipping point of this because of some of the stuff we've touched on today around I did no work for you and no one noticed type stuff of if we have got a workforce that's now working more remotely in a more hybrid way, and then people are thinking, I don't know what people are doing. And then you haven't got any of this sort of process or clarity around your role because that structure isn't there. And I do feel like there is this question from leaders around what are you all doing at home? Come back to the office and then we can see you, rightly or wrongly, which is kind of layered within this. People don't really know what they're doing. And I think that's part of the challenge. I think if we start to smoosh some of that together, there is a clarity element in there that will impact the culture that I think leaders haven't taken the time to do in the past because they didn't need to, because we were all in an office together. We were all doing stuff together and you could easily navigate priorities and things like that because of the natural conversations that would happen in that environment. Whereas now, that's so much harder. And I think just thinking about the clients and the teams I'm working with, I would say this is their biggest challenge in any organization is I don't really know what my objectives are. I don't really know what my development plan is here. And I'm just feel like I'm just ticking a box and I don't really know
I think leaders are expecting people to figure it out themselves. And there was this, I guess you want to call it a comic, maybe it was like a kind of rallying cheer or whatever, but it said like, what do we want? And it shows all these CEOs like AI. And when do we want it? And it's like now. And it's why do we want it? AI. Yeah. Like they don't know. They just feel like it should be there. So go figure it out. But I'm the leader and I'm telling you this is what needs to happen. Yeah. The clarity is out the window. Yeah, totally. And it is that we don't really know what we need, but we just need you to figure it out and do it. And I think that the task orientated nature that work has become hasn't followed this suit of suddenly this empowerment has gone. People don't feel as empowered
But leaders, to your point, are so far away, they're not feeling that friction, and that's making it much harder.